Should be broadcasting live now. All right, let me get started with the show intro. We'll do a countdown.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love.
Okay, and we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Joey Nuggs video podcast. I am your host, Joey Nuggs, of course, it only makes sense. And I am honored and elated to have a legend in the world of professional wrestling, legendary wrestling valet. I don't think the word valet ever actually really describes you are a manager. To me, I don't know what that legendary, the perfect 10 baby doll, ladies and gentlemen. I am just honored for you to have you here. Thank you so much for being.
Thank you.
You are my first interview, and hopefully the bar is set high, and I'm only going to be able to keep it that level. It's going to be a hard one to reach.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Joey. I'm truly honored. I'm truly honored. Thank you.
Yep, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. You got so many things on the plate now, a bunch of events coming up.
Yes, a bunch of events. I've got just to start this all off with, just a good place to start. The Gathering in Charlotte, just in 2 weeks, something like that. I'll be there on the Friday and Saturday, which is August 5th and 6th. I'll be at my table on the Friday. Samantha Starr and I will. Then I'm giving an award to the Rock and Roll Express at the banquet on Friday. And then Saturday, I'll be at my table all day. And then I lost it there for a second. I was like, oh my gosh. I see what you did there. And so then Saturday all day, but the Gathering is one of the premier events of fan fests and wrestling shows of the year. Team Art Productions goes above and beyond for the fans. It's really cool because it's not only a show, for the fans to come out and see all of us, but it's also with the wrestlers that we can go out and see everybody and see the fans that we've talked to for the past year on like Twitter and Facebook and different messenger services. And it's just a really, really good family friendly. It's and it's not real expensive. Oh my gosh, they've kept ticket prices very, very reasonable. I think the last time I saw that they had over 100 wrestlers are going to be booked for this event over the 4 days. So by far, it's so great. And then a couple weeks after that, August the 31st, Samantha and I are headed to the NWA in St. Louis for the first time in several years, decades, I should say, that I'll be working with the NWA, and so very honored to be working with them on this. And then hopefully it's the first of many. And then October the 15th, Big Time Wrestling up in Ohio for Bobby Fulton and his family. I'll be working on the 15th in Ohio. The 16th, I'll be in Maryland doing a fan fest with Samantha Starr and myself on that one.
Wow.
And then let me think what else. Then the next one, I've got a couple more things that are kind of like in the works type thing. But the next one after that is WrestleCade, which is also another premier fan fest. Tracy Myers and his group, Ryan Hawks, does an excellent, the weekend after Thanksgiving. I'll be doing
where's that fan fest going to be at? The one?
Okay, WrestleCade is at the Bentonville Civic Center. They're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I'll be there Friday night. I'll be sharing a table with Tony Atlas. Richard Sims is going to bring me in on Friday night, so I'll be signing Friday night, and then all day Saturday with WrestleCade. And hopefully, as always, I'll have my table next to George South, and we'll just have a great time.
That sounds awesome. George South is one of, if you've ever had a chance to go to a George South merch table, that is an experience on itself. He will sell you everything down to his underwear. Sorry, George, but he will work you. The only other person I ever see that work a merch table was Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. God. I've literally almost wanted to throw my shoes up there on the tabletop when I'm talking to Jimmy. He's good.
Right. Yeah, Jimmy's good. Jimmy's there an hour before everybody else, has his table set up, selling his books. He's written a book, and then his wife Angel has also written a book, and they're just some of the nicest people ever. I mean, you won't meet a nicer person than Jimmy Valiant.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Jimmy is a class act through and through. And a lot of times he won't remember my name, but he'll say, hey brother, you got that red suit, man. That one gets big heat, man. You gonna wear that one tonight? You got the purple one.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
well, Jimmy's like 5 decades in this business. So, I mean, think of all the people that he's met. So that's really, that's an honor for him to remember that. So
yeah, that much. I was happy that he remembered his suit.
Well, that's what you wanted to do. You wore the suit to get over. So obviously you got over.
It got big heat, definitely being a big guy, wearing different color suits. The red suits, I get the Hey Kool-Aid chant going. The purple suits, they call me Barney, but I mean, that's a story all in itself.
Right.
God gave me, that's what I got to work with. I'm a chubby guy. That's just what it is. I love food. Call me, what do they call that? I'm a foodaholic. Or,
right, a foodie.
Yeah, foodie. I'm one of them guys that take pictures of their food before they eat it. I know it's kind of creepy, but yeah.
I do too. Well, it's usually after I've made something though, so it's like, here, look what I made.
So you'll be traveling to what else do you have coming up big?
Well, that's it right now. So I mean, that's some big shows right now. I've got some other things in the work. Just have to kind of work out the paperwork and travel and things like that. So I don't want to like say I'm going to be somewhere and I'm not. So those are the dates that I'm for sure confirmed. Everything's good. I've got travel arrangements. Everything's good.
What about this coming up big in the future?
That's huge. I mean, I've was contacted by the promoter, and we've discussed a few things. We just haven't nailed everything down yet. So I'm not quite sure where that's going. All I can say is, Ric Flair, my heart's with you. Knock 'em dead. You're going to absolutely steal the show. I love how they built this up, because if they just announced this at the very start, it would have been a yawn. It would have been a ho hum, like, okay, yeah, whatever. But the past 2 months, how they built this up, how everybody was talking about, well, who was his opponent going to be? Was it going to be a tag team? Was it going to be a singles? Was it going to be Steamboat? Was it going to be Ricky Morton? Was it going to be Jay Lethal? Was it going to be a tag team with Flair and FTR against like Rock and Roll Express and Steamboat? There were so many scenarios that they kind of teased us with, and everybody was talking that literally for the past 2 months, this is all that everybody's ever talked about, was this match. And I think that they delivered. I love how Flair's son-in-laws, Conrad and Andrade, have sacrificed and put this all together for their father-in-law, for Flair. I just absolutely love it. I love the family tradition of it, and how the boys are coming together to help Flair, live his dream, because Flair's not going to fade away. Flair is going to be Flair until the day that he takes his last breath. And God bless him. He's worked so hard for this. Jay Lethal has definitely put him through his paces. And I think it's amazing for everyone. And especially, I mean, Jay Lethal's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I love going to shows and saying hi to him. I just saw him in Maryland just a couple of months ago. Samantha and I went up there. I believe that was in January. It was earlier this year. And just such a humble man. Just love him. Absolutely love him. But I must say this. since they've got Karen Angle or Karen Jarrett in the corner with Jeff and Jay, Flair
Mhm.
might need someone in his corner. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I don't think anyone would be better in the world than Ric Flair to have the perfect 10 baby doll in his corner.
Right. Well, I'd like to see Wendy too, because Wendy had did Fifi for so long, and she was so good at it, and it built up into their romance and everything. So there's good. I mean, I'd be happy to, but I mean, if things work out, they work out. If they don't, they don't. So it'll be good. It'll be
Let
good
me
no matter what.
Let me ask you this. There's rumors speculating all over the internet. And to me, I don't know why this should ever be a rumor. And people talk why Ric Flair would still want to wrestle. Do you think it's in this day and age, anyone should ever question why Ric Flair, I mean, it's all he's ever been is wrestling, should not be wrestling? Who should ever tell somebody as a legend? What's your opinion on that?
Don't shit on anybody else's dreams. This is Flair's dream. This is what Flair is wanting to do. Flair is not going to go and not be Flair. And for him to get back in the ring, oh well, he's 70 years old. Yeah, Luthez was wrestling in Japan when he was 70. It's not unusual. And if he's physically and mentally able to carry this off, then go ahead. But you know what? Whenever you look at it, Flair has been the biggest talked about wrestler over the summer of like who he was going to wrestle, the build up to it, the whole thing. Everybody is so hungry and absolutely just wants to see a good wrestling match. Not all this flippy floppy stuff, not all the gymnastic stuff, not someone getting a pile driver in the first minute of the match and popping back up.
Okay.
They want to see an actual wrestling match where someone grabs a hold and works it, because I guarantee you Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal are going to beat the crap out of Flair, and we're going to feel sorry for him, and we're think he's going to die, and the whole thing, and our emotions are going to be so built up to it. It's going to be classic.
Mhm.
So I just can't believe like how good this has gotten, and that they held back and they got us talking about it. It's I'm getting like emotional about it, but Flair is going to be Flair one more time. Let Flair be Flair one more time and be absolutely spectacular at it.
And honestly, in my opinion, I mean, as someone, I mean, I work in pro wrestling, but I'm not on a level of any of you ladies and gentlemen have ever reached. You guys are legends. And how I don't understand anyone should ever tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. I mean, I remember watching the last Rocky where they tried to say that he wasn't able to fight, and he was like, "Do you do what you do for a living?" They was like, "Yeah." What if someone came up there and told you you shouldn't sit behind that desk, wear that suit, and be a congressman, or sit up there and tell or try to say that I shouldn't be able to wrestle, fight, box, or anything? I mean, people are living their lives. I can't
Right.
stand that they
Well,
should
and
even
then
say that. I think Ric Flair, if he wants to, he should be able to make reunions like the Funk did a million times over. How many times did Terry Funk
exactly.
come out of retirement?
Because it's wrestling, and people, instead of being upbeat and happy for someone, they really like to shit on people and talk bad about them and start rumors, and that, well, Flair should just stay home, and Flair's got a pacemaker, and Flair's all this, and it's wrestling is one of those businesses where they, as much as people like to be built up, there's just as many people pushing you down. And it's, yes, Flair's had health problems. Yes, Flair nearly died. But how many times has Flair nearly died? He's been
Yes.
in car wrecks. He's been in a plane crash. Just let the man live his dream. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. But I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of us watching and enjoying the show.
I myself am definitely going to get the stream on it. I know it's streaming. I forget exactly. I think what is it, under the Fight
On
Network?
Fight TV, yes.
Fight TV. Yeah, I know I'm definitely going to get the stream. And if I'm able to share it, I'm going to share it and have a watch party on the internet. Sometimes they block me when I do that. I go through Skype and we share
Right.
football games, baseball games, wrestling, everything, MMA. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a huge UFC fan. So
Gotcha. I've watched a little bit of the UFC. It's I guess I need to get a character to kind of follow, but shoot, the past couple of years I've been so busy that I really don't get to do much of anything.
To me, when I watch UFC, I don't. It's not like pro wrestling. I mean, on the aspect that I don't have to know a storyline, or I don't have to keep up with why these two wrestlers are fighting. These guys are fighting because there's a contract, and the big payday is the one that wins.
Exactly.
And if Dana White's there, they have the match of the night, and whoever wows the crowd with the match of the night gets an extra 10 grand. I mean,
Oh
that type
wow.
of thing.
So
Yes.
they're
So
going above and beyond. I liked it during the coronavirus crap that Dana White went and got the island so that everybody could still keep fighting and making money.
yes. So, I mean, I don't know how much time you have, baby doll. Do you have any time to tell me about your long, luxurious career that you've had in pro wrestling? I mean, I'll be honest. I am elated. First off, I mean, I keep saying this. I am honored to have you here on my podcast. I really am. I work in the indies as a wrestling manager, and I call myself the biggest mouth in pro wrestling and all these titles. But I've done nothing comparison to what you've done in the world of wrestling.
Well, you were right there when I actually had kind of like my little comeback there in like Orangeburg. What was it, like 2005, 2006, something like that?
Yeah, for
Was
CWA.
making the shows down there. That was really cool. And um, it's been like a lifelong journey, as many people know. Both of my parents were wrestlers.
Mhm.
My mom and dad wrestled in the 50s, and then my dad continued to wrestle during the 70s up until the 70s. Had a promotion in Lubbock, Texas. Had a weekly wrestling show at Fair Park Coliseum for more than 20 years. And in my opinion, I learned so much because you don't have a successful promotion and not be doing what my dad did over, like over 20 years, basically in the same building. We had Wednesday nights for a really, really long time until we went with the Dallas office. And when we went with the Dallas office, then we went with Fridays. But to see angles built up, to see storylines, to see the guys come and go, because it was the epitome of territory wrestling. It was we basically had the Funks and the family up there for years and years and years and years. And because of Dory and Terry, they had we had Ted DiBiase coming in whenever he was first getting into the business.
Mhm.
Manny Fernandez was there whenever he first started wrestling. Dusty came in like the 60s and early 70s. We had Andre the Giant come in once a year for about 10 years. That was like a big summer show to have Andre come in. We were with the NWA, so we had the world's heavyweight champion come in twice a year. So I met Harley Race, and then Flair and Dory and Terry were already there in Amarillo, so of course they were there. From the time that I can remember, whenever I got old enough, I started answering the phone whenever people called 765-7070. They would want to know what time wrestling was on or how much tickets were or who was wrestling. So as soon as I could read and read off the wrestling card, then I was able to answer the phone. I got $3 a week for that.
$3 a week.
$3 a week. And
Now, for the
then,
people out there that don't know who your parents were, can you tell them everybody who your parents were as far
sure,
as in wrestling?
my dad's Nick Roberts. That's how I got my name, Nicola, was from my dad, Nick Roberts. And then my mom wrestled as Lorraine Johnson. She wrestled a lot with, I want to say Buddy Wolf. And then she did a lot of tag team with Penny Banner because they were lookalike, just beautiful blonde, wore bikinis and wrestled and were really super tough and not like the little skinny, just regular girls. They were like athletes. I met Penny, oh gosh, it's been several years ago, and just hung out. And she just, Penny was just absolute wonder. I mean, she's such a beautiful woman, and it's a shame that she was taken so early from cancer. But yeah, Lorraine Johnson and Nick Roberts are my parents.
Yeah. Now, and then we also talked about your daughter Samantha Starr, and we talked about CWA and Orangeburg. Now they're doing their return on August the 13th. And I know she's coming in, and I do believe her husband Dustin is coming in as well.
Right,
Yeah,
Bosworth. Yes,
Bosworth.
yes.
Yeah. Now he's a jacked up mamma jamma.
He's a beast. Oh, he's going to the gym all the time. I'm all the time giving him eggs because I've got like 40 chickens, so I've got lots of eggs, and I give them eggs and cook for him all the time. But he actually went up to Ohio this past weekend, and the promoter said that he had the best body in the business that he'd seen in decades. So Dustin's head grew up huge, but Dustin's got a great body, great work ethic. He trained with Harley Race, actually lived on Harley's property for years
Wow.
and trained with him, and just a really good guy. My daughter's very, very lucky and has a really, really good husband, and just just a good guy. I like Dustin. Dustin's a good guy.
Definitely. Now your daughter Samantha Starr, what she's now what, third generation pro wrestler?
Yes, which is very unusual when you think about, you're like, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that, oh yeah, I'm third generation from Randy Orton, Natalia, a bunch of them. But when you look at it with Samantha, she's third generation on females. Her grandmother, her mother, and herself. And I don't think that's ever been done when you're a third generation female wrestler.
No, that's phenomenal. And she's still young. She has a huge career ahead of her.
Oh, very
I don't
good. And she
I
just got over her knee surgery. She had last year was kind of rough because whenever she was in high school, she played like all the sports, and especially with soccer, it really hurt her knees. And who would think that, like with soccer, because that's one of the sports I got my girls into, because I figured they won't get hurt, their bodies won't get damaged. You know, it's good running and kicking. And oh no, soccer's horrible on your knees. And she paid the price for it. Just she had knee surgery last year, is fully recovered now, so she's doing good.
Yeah, think about soccer. You're this that's one of the ones where you're basically doing sprints. You'll be kind of doing a light jog, and then out of nowhere you just got to kick it in, and
Right,
it'll
right.
it'll put jars on your kneecaps really bad, I'm sure of that.
Right. And then you really don't think about it, but whenever you do the big kicks, like if you're really trying to get the ball down the field, how hard you're like kicking that ball to go down. That's, I think, where a lot of the damage happened, was you're like doing the big kicks and things like that. Just kicking the ball just did so much damage.
Yep. So you started out in world class championship wrestling, right?
Yes.
Was
Started
that
out in
now?
world class wrestling. It My parents were talking about Gino Hernandez, and
Mhm.
in my family, my parents didn't really talk about wrestling where my brother and I could hear it. It was very secretive, and it was a business, and the business was very separate. And my dad had the den and did all of his paperwork, and it was kind of a big no-no that we just left mom and dad whenever they were doing wrestling alone. So I just had heard him talking that, they were looking for a girl for Gino, and had this huge crush on Gino and thought, "Oh, that might be the spot for me." So I stole my dad's black book and actually went down to a boyfriend's house, called the Dallas office, and David Manning answered, and gave him the deal of like, "Hey, I heard you guys were looking for a girl for Gino, and what about me? I'm smart and pretty, and maybe." And they were just happening to go upstairs to a meeting with Fritz. And he said that, let me talk it over with them, see what they talk about, see if they would want to go with this, and I'll call you right back. So about half hour, 45 minutes later, David called me back and says Fritz loves the idea. And he said, the only problem is who's going to tell your dad? Because at the time I was going to school, I was wanting to be an EMT and then a paramedic, and then I wanted to go do ski patrol up in Colorado. I wanted to be like the person, like whenever you needed help on the mountain slopes, I was the one that would ski up and help you. And he was just like, who's going to tell your dad? Because he's not going to be happy about this. And I thought, well, if this is something I've got to do, I'm going to be the one that tells him. And it went about like what you would think. It didn't go over very well because I only had a couple of weeks to go in my EMT class, and I'd always done really, really well in school. And for me to just quit everything and go run after professional wrestlers was not at all what my parents had planned for me. but it all worked out. And the Sunday before Labor Day at Joe and Harry Coliseum in San Antonio, where I made my debut, and I worked until Christmas Day in '84 for Dallas, and then I went to Crockett. Just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and saw Dusty and Tully and Tampa and Miami, and switched over, and from Andrea the Lady Giant to Baby Doll in like a month, and it was quite a transition, but it all worked out. It's been experienced, and it was so fun because it World Class was totally different than Jim Crockett. It was just a complete 180.
Now, tell me the difference between Fritz von Erich comparison to Crockett. I mean, tell the difference in them.
Oh my gosh. Never saw Fritz.
Never saw
Fritz was
Fritz.
up in his office. Fritz had, his sons um as like messengers. He had David Manning as a messenger type thing. So Fritz would give the orders, and then he would give it to his footmen, and then they would make sure that everything got done. So
Okay.
Fritz was very hands on, but you never saw him.
Gotcha.
While
Yeah.
Jim Crockett, you saw him all the time. Whenever you went in that office, his office was right there. He was very approachable. He was very much one of the boys and loved being around us, I believe, and just the whole family was, from Jimmy, David, Francis, and Jackie. They loved being part of the wrestling business, and it was like two families because you had the Von Erich family and then the Crockett family. It was just it's crazy because they're both so very same, but then so very different. And
Yeah.
then cannot say enough good things about Jim Crockett and his family. And with David, with the announcing, I know some people say he was a horrible announcer, but when you listen to David, no one loved wrestling more than David Crockett. And whenever I went to Los Angeles, I did an interview just a couple weeks ago in Los Angeles. I flew out there and was talking with David, and found out
I think the stream stopped here, glitched out. We're still running audio here. We're still live. I've lost audio on Baby Doll. At least on my end, I can't hear it. But
promoting, and they knew how to promote.
lost audio there for a second on you. As you were talking, it
Okay.
glitched up. You
Oh
were
well.
talking about the right at the end there. I lost maybe your last 20 seconds.
Okay, just talking about like whenever I was in Los Angeles, how David told how many events his dad promoted.
Mhm.
And if it was a gathering in Charlotte there for about 50 years, I guarantee you Jim Crockett Sr. had something to do with it. It was just amazing, like all the stuff that he mentioned that they had promoted and brought to Charlotte, from concerts to the circus,
Yeah,
and that
people
encompassed everything.
Yeah, people didn't understand that he was a huge promoter, not just wrestling. He did concerts, circuses. I think he brought in the Harlem Globetrotters. I
Yes,
think
and
he
then
had
they had the baseball team also. He brought
baseball team.
baseball to Charlotte. So yes, just Jim Crockett Sr., I don't think enough has been said, of what he's done, of how much he brought to Charlotte.
And I heard that he was such a humble man that even though he knew that, I mean, he made good money working in all his adventures. He never tried to flaunt his money. He was very low key. He would drive a regular sedan. He wouldn't drive a flashy car because he didn't want to look upon he was better than the fans or other
Right.
people. Yeah, that
Whenever I went to work for Charlotte, my dad had worked quite a bit for Jim Crockett Sr., and had said what a nice guy. He says, well, if you're going to go work somewhere, I guess Crockett's a good place, because at that time Senior had passed away. He because my dad had said what a good guy he was, and the good payoffs, and treated the guys really well. So he I think there was some consolation there that, well, if you're going to go somewhere, I guess North Carolina is not the worst place to go.
Now, when they brought you in, I remember when they brought you in, Tully did a big contest. He was searching for the valet, his perfect 10 to bring in. I don't know if he even called it the perfect 10 at the time. I mean, but I remember
I
that.
think so. I think so because they were when I look back at like everything that fell into place for me to get where I was, they had started the contest like the summer of 84, and they had done little vignettes and little promos and things like that, asking women to send in their pictures and the VHS tapes and like to see if they qualified to be Tully's perfect 10, because Tully was looking for the perfect woman to accompany him wherever he went.
Right.
And it was kind of funny because it was, some of those pictures were rough. I have to
Mhm.
admit that, oh my Lord, they were.
So you actually got to see some of the wannabe
I got to see
contestants.
some of them. Yes. Well, they had boxes of them. They had
Wow.
quite a, I didn't see any of the videos, but I saw some of the pictures come in from, they had like beauty queens, like beautiful, beautiful women that had
Uh-huh.
sent pictures in, and like resumes to some women who were not quite as attractive. They need a little bit work, but it was definitely amusing to see what my predecessors were or what my competition was. But it was so funny because they were actually looking for Sunshine, for Valerie, who was working in Dallas at the time, because they had heard rumors about her and how pretty she was and how she presented herself, and that my by me being in Florida and approaching Dusty there and just saying, "Hey, what about me? I've and see, I didn't know that they were having the contest for Tully. I had
Mm.
just gone into Florida thinking that I had two more dates left, and then my wrestling career was over. I was going to have to go back to Lubbock unless I could find somewhere else to go.
Wow.
So
So,
whenever I landed, I talked with Michael Hayes, and because I thought, hey, Florida would be a great place. I would love to work Florida.
oh
But he
yeah.
said that Florida had slowed down, that they were going to were thinking about shutting it down until the summer, and that I needed to go talk to Dusty. That Dusty was getting ready, and I'll never forget this. He says he's getting ready to blow up North Carolina. He said that place is ready to explode. He says Dusty's bringing a lot of people in. He said that's where you want to go. And so I just went over there and gave him the spiel of like, hey, and told him what I've been doing. And so Dusty was sitting down and Tully was right to his side, and I'm, giving the spiel, and then they talked it over like, well, yeah, this might work with what we've already got going on. And you could
Mhm.
kind of see him like talking like, hey, this might be it. Well,
Yeah.
whenever I went out to do my match with Stella, out of the corner of my eye, I see Dusty standing on the outside of his dressing room door, and Tully on the other side was standing on the outside of his dressing room door.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh, I better make this good. So I had my match with Stella, and as I'm getting up, because I'd pinned her, I'm thinking, if they're still there, I've got the job. If they're not there, I don't have the job. So I kind of looked, and they were both standing there. Yes, got it. And sure enough, they wanted me to come in. This was like Christmas Day. So Dusty had said, can you get to North Carolina in February? Of course. And so it was like, we'll probably bring you in. Let's build this up. We'll bring you in like the end of February. So then the end of February, then I got a call. It was like, well, no, I think we need you more like mid to the first part of February. No problem. I can be there. And then I got the phone call. When can you get here? We want to go with this. When can you get here? Well, I loaded up the car and headed across the state or across the country, and shoot, January, I think January 20th was when I made my debut.
So now here I'm looking at facts. I don't know everything right. I'm not a book of knowledge, but it says right here on July 6th, 1985, you were forced to be Dusty Rhodes' valet for 30 days.
Yeah,
Tell us
Great
about
American Dash,
tell us
Charlotte.
about that experience. Having to you went from being one of the most hated people to being the with Dusty Rhodes, which like one of the for good guys, he was the ultimate good guy.
Right. It was it was bad for Tully because Tully lost everything that night. He was in a cage match against Dusty, and he was putting up his world TV title belt against Dusty, and then if he lost, he would also lose me for 30 days. So we lost there in Charlotte, and the people just erupted. I had to have escort back to the back. Manny Fernandez said that he saw someone heading across the field with a knife, headed for me. That he tackled him and got him out of the way, and just super heat. And then with Dusty, because I would like cheat and make him lose his matches and different things like that, then I had super heat working with him, even though like Dusty's a baby face. At the end of the match, he'd wrap the bull rope around my neck and then pull me back. We were in Fayetteville, and we were doing the deal where he wrapped the bull rope around my neck, and we were headed to the dressing room, and someone grabbed me by my hair, like a big, not like a little handful of hair, but like a handful of hair, and wrapped it. So I was going nowhere. So Dusty's pulling me this way and the Phantom's pulling me this way. Well, I took my fist and was just swung back as hard as I could go just to get him off me. Well, the corner of my eye, my fist is headed for someone standing on a chair, and that person is she's pregnant. And my fist is headed for her stomach. And it was like a cartoon, like, and I just barely popped her. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get sued. I just hit a pregnant woman in the stomach.
What kind of heat did that get?
Oh, I was like trying to get out of there, trying to get back to Charlotte. Hopefully the police weren't going to show up. It was, I didn't get a lawsuit out of that, but I thought, how much heat have you got when a pregnant woman is grabbing your hair and standing, while a pregnant woman standing on a chair grabs your hair and is going to fight you.
Wow, that's when you got big heat.
Big heat. I had about a week to go, and I remember Dusty had a meeting with Crockett and was just like, they're going to kill her. He says, I can't protect her. I can't guarantee you that she's going to make it back to the dressing room safely. We got to get her some time off. So I actually got a couple of days off. I went to Lubbock to go see my mom and dad, and came back, and then I was back with Tully, and Dusty did the deal where, I had stolen his credit card and taken off to Hawaii, and booze and men and various sundries. And
yeah, that's the rock star baby doll I know.
I sent him a Hawaiian shirt and a Diners Club bill for like 15 grand or something.
God, that's great television, right
there. It is. And Dusty just did that off the cuff. He just happened to be wearing a Hawaiian shirt that day for TV whenever we went and did TV, and the promo just came down from it.
Now, in December of 1985, I remember they had that's when the big thing with J.J. Dillon showed up as Tully's manager, and everyone's wondering where Baby Doll's been. And that's when they were supposedly have sent you a ticket to go on vacation or something.
Right. I believe that was in January, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it was in 86. I think it was January of 86, because it was right after Starrcade, when Tully had lost the big I Quit match against Magnum. So where was Tully going to go after that? We in that year had done just about everything that Tully and I could do. So the whole part of it, which was kind of weird how this all worked out, they were actually going to put me with Buddy Landell, and Buddy was going to have a run against Flair. But Buddy twisted off, got coked up for a couple of days. We didn't see him like for 4 or 5 days. When he did come back, he looked horrible. Like he looked like he'd been doing cocaine for 5 days. He missed TV. He missed a TV where they were going to do the switch and start to put me with him. And that's the time that Dusty went, well, heck, she can go with me. And so they, instead of going with Landell, they turned me babyface and put me with Dusty. So that's how that worked out. But yes, it was the Tully confronted me and was just like, well, where have you been? And you're always supposed to be here. And JJ had given me the ticket to Puerto Rico, and I spent 3 days in Puerto Rico and came back to mass confusion and hysteria and being blamed for everything except for the sky being blue, and it wasn't my fault. And I had only done what I was told to do, and if you give me a plane ticket, why am I not going to go to Puerto Rico? Like JJ hands you a ticket and says, "Here, this is from Tully. It's your Christmas present. Go to Puerto Rico. You're going to go." And it turned out to be a flim flam, and JJ took my spot. And where was I going to go? But then Dusty came to my rescue, and the rest is I was a really good baby face for about 8 months until I turned and went with Flair.
I'm seeing here during a weekly Monday night television taping in Greenville, South Carolina in 1986, Jim Cornette and beautiful Bobby Eaton attacked you with a tennis racket. You responded by introducing the Warlord as your newest client.
Oh, yes. Well,
Tell
you
us
talk about
that.
heat. Oh, my gosh.
Tell us about that.
When Cornette hit me in the stomach with a tennis racket, Bobby was holding me, and Cornette popped me. The crowd just went silent, and then you actually felt the crowd get hot. And I felt that a couple of times where they say white hot heat. It's literally white hot, where you can actually feel the temperature of the building go up 20 degrees. It's crazy and it's scary, but it's what you want. You want that build up to it. So that was the start of the build up for the Great American Bash, where I had all mixed tags with Cornette. In 14 of the bashes, I either tagged up with Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors, or with Dusty and Magnum, and it went over. It was huge. Cornette actually was getting letters from people that were going to kill him. He got death threats.
Wow.
I don't know if he carried a gun before that, but they were all carrying pistols at that time because they knew, that they could be in serious trouble. What got me and what made me afraid of the whole situation, I was getting letters from men in prison that said that whenever I get out, I will take care of this for you. Just let me know. I will take care of this for you. And when I know I got more than 10.
So men were in prison watching you on television somehow, and said when they get out, they were going to take care of it for you?
Right. Of course, you know that 605 TBS wrestling was huge, in prisons, and
Wow.
that's probably the highlight of their week, was to see Georgia Championship Wrestling or TBS, or and so yes, I got letters. I know of at least 10 that I saw, and I don't know. I didn't see a lot of my mail because I think that they kind of protected me from stuff so I wouldn't get afraid and quit. But yeah, they said that pretty much whenever I get out, I will take care of this for you. You just let me know. And they were serious. You could just tell that the tone of the letter and the whole thing, they were serious. They would have done it.
Okay, August 23rd, 1986. You turned on Dusty Rhodes to help Ric Flair win the title in St. Louis. Do you remember this?
Oh, I think we were in Charlotte whenever I turned on Dusty.
Says here
we were in Charlotte.
Okay, you were in Charlotte?
Yep.
Wow. Tell us about that. Is that the one where that's not the one where you flew in on a helicopter, is it?
No, that was one of the bashes where he flew in on the helicopter. Whenever I turned on Dusty, it was either a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon or Sunday in Charlotte. Sold out.
All right.
I had the tux with a pink sparkly bow tie. And whenever I put Flair's foot on the rope, that was one of those times where you felt the white hot heat. Because if you watch the video on that, I put the foot on the rope and the crowd gasps and goes silent just for a second. But I felt it. I had fooled them. I'd gotten them. They never saw it coming, and they hated me because I fooled them. Because out of everything, they thought that Dusty and I were going to be together forever. It was just meant to be. Dolly and her boys, the whole thing. But they never expected that I was going to go with Flair, and they hated it. They hated it that they were being fooled, and that we got them. And Tully had to come down from the dressing room. He was afraid that we weren't able to get back. So he actually came back, and he's being pelted. You can see people throwing everything that they can get their hands on at us.
Wow. Now, I've seen multiple times. I mean, I can't count how many times you either got slapped or slapped somebody else. Uh, what was it back in that day? If a lady got slapped, that it just would make the place come unglued. Was that just back in the day a big taboo?
Well, you don't hit women, and that was the
Yeah,
whole thing. And with my
especially
size,
in the South.
yes, whenever anyone first laid their hands on me, was Dusty, and I'm up in Dusty's face, and I smacked him, and just out of reaction, Dusty smacked me back, and boy, I sell the crap out of it. I'm down there like, how can you do this? How you hit a woman? And da, da, da. Dusty was so afraid that that was going to turn him heel that it was just like. But then he was like, "Gosh, she's got so much heat. There's no way I'm going to turn. I'm going to turn heel on this." So whenever he did that, you can kind of the anticipation of like, okay, how are they going to react? But they exploded. And whenever I watched the video of this, because whenever we were like working back then, we didn't have time to watch ourselves. We were on the road all the time. Plus, it was very narcissistic, and you would never say that, hey, I went back home and watched myself. The business was just so different than now. You got everybody taping themselves in the back and watching it before they even get home. So back then, we didn't know what we were doing except for if they showed clips during the TVs while we were shooting TVs. So it's whenever Dusty slapped me, I was watching the video on YouTube,
Okay.
and I'm watching the crowd. And women, like with cigarettes hanging out of their mouths and drinks, are going, hit her again, hit that bitch again. And I'm thinking that's when you got heat. When you out and out slap a woman in the middle of a wrestling ring and everyone reacts of like, hit her again, you know you've got heat. And
Yeah,
it was
because
scary, like how much.
Yeah, because when a manager gets hit, this is usually somebody that avoids the fight. They're outside, they're
Right,
the voice of reason. But when you see a manager get a good belt, especially when they're in the face of like Dusty Rhodes, oh my God, yeah, that's because everybody was like, I might not be able to beat up that wrestler, but I bet you if I get my hand on that manager, I could give him a good swat.
right. Well, and see, I was totally different because I'm like 5'10" and like 100. Back then I was like 190, 200 pounds, 210. A big girl. I've always been a big girl, and I could handle myself. So it wasn't like they were going to feel sorry for me. They just hated me even more.
Definitely. Now, to all the different slaps that you got, who hit the hardest?
Oh, Tully. Whenever I turned baby face, I had like earrings with posts, and the post actually went into the back of the skin, back behind my ear. I had to like peel it out. It
Wow,
was hard, but I mean, everybody says, "Oh, you have to work, you have to do this." Sometimes you just have to do that extra so that there is no doubt. Like whenever I hit Cornette in the back of the head, there was no doubt I plowed him. There was no doubt. There was like, "Oh my God, she hit him. She really hit him." There's, I don't think anyone can say out of my work that it looked bad, that it looked staged, that it looked rehearsed. It was all something that everybody believed that whatever I did was real. And I learned that from Tully and from Jake, because Tully was just like, there's a lot of matches on the card, and people can doubt our business. People have always doubted our business, but they're not going to doubt me, and they're not going to doubt my match, whether it was real or not. And that's always been a motto that I've lived at, is don't let them doubt you. Make them believe it's real.
Now, if Hollywood called and they wanted to make the baby doll life story, who would play baby doll in today's era?
Oh my gosh.
I like questions like that to make you think.
I don't know. A friend of ours said that they reminded me of Cameron Diaz.
Ooh,
I don't
Cameron?
know. I don't know if there's anyone out there.
I don't know if Cameron's bad enough to pull off baby doll, honestly.
I don't know. I don't think there is. I don't think that anyone's got the size or the just. I would have to. Who else would? You.
I was surprised you didn't say your daughter Samantha Starr.
She's
Gosh,
she's not tall enough.
not tall enough, right?
No, she's only like 5'5", 5'6". I'm
Right.
5'10". There's a big difference. You need someone that's got that height.
If you could manage anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
alive or dead. If I could have managed my mom, I really wish I could have seen more of my mom's work. I've only seen like 2 of her matches that are on YouTube. I never really saw her work. I only saw like pictures, and she had a couple of outfits in a suitcase tucked away in her closet that I got to see whenever she was gone, and the babysitter was there, and I could sneak in her closet and go look at her clothes and her pictures. I would have liked to have managed my mom.
What do you think is missing in pro wrestling today, if anything, and why? I mean, what do you think's missing?
What is missing?
Yeah.
God, we've got everything. We've got like if you wanted to watch wrestling every single day of the week for hours and hours and hours of the week, you've got professional wrestling, and you've got so many things. I don't think there. I think the thing is that there's too much,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's no mystery to it anymore.
And
Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I've got to ask this, and it's the hot topic. Vince McMahon with WWE with all his controversy. I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk about Vince because they might worry, God forbid, he might not give me a job somewhere that day. Honestly, I don't think Vince is ever going to call on the phone and tell, hey, Joey Nuggs, come up to the WWE. But what is your feelings if you want to comment at all? If you don't, I understand you don't want to talk about it.
Oh no. I can't. I don't. It's like, oh my gosh, someone did something inappropriate in professional wrestling. Oh my
Right.
gosh. Big deal. I mean, no one's come forward before this. No one's bitched about the money that he paid out. No one bitched before this except where they found out that the money was like corporate money and not his own money. That's the
Right.
only way. That's the only reason why he got caught, because it wasn't his money that he was paying the girls off with.
Yeah, I think wrestling has changed because honestly, I mean, I grew up watching Ric Flair talking about the party lifestyle. You know,
Oh,
you know, the
he won't.
stories I
He
hear
won't.
about them going out and buying out the bar, and he said he spilt more liquor than most people bought in a year. You know,
Right. And
that made me want to work at pro wrestling.
right. And you go into the bar and women are actually like laying on the floor going, pick me, I'm next, I'm next, So it's times have changed, people have changed. It's just not the same. People get offended too fast, and instead of just accepting what it was. I mean, one of our good friends, Gunner, Chad Lale, is
Mhm.
losing bookings because he's a Christian and because of his views. Who would have thought that in a million years?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
crazy.
In a million years, a man can't have be in touch with his God and be religious. And
Right.
God, that's
Listen,
yeah.
Joy, my husband just pulled up. I know I'm
Uh,
going to have to fix him lunch. Let me get Ryder in here so that everybody can say hi to Ryder, and then I'm going
okay,
to dip.
I understand.
Ryder, come here.
Everybody, people that don't know, Ryder is Baby Doll's grandson.
Well, he's my husband's grandson. My
Ah.
girls have not had kids. Come up here on this back here so that they can see you. Um, I don't think Mike and Michaela are going to have children, but this is my little buddy. This
What's
is
up,
Ryder.
Ryder? That's my buddy. I met Ryder at the shows. I don't know if you remember me, Joey Nuggs.
I don't remember you.
That's okay. A lot of people. I'm the guy that always comes out with other people and no one remembers, but that's okay.
Yeah. So if anybody's ever wondering what I'm doing, this is my little guy right here.
We'll wrap it up.
Chad and Ryder are my life, along with my girls. So I'm so blessed. So blessed.
Amen. Well, we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate you coming on the show for the first debut of my podcast. God bless you, baby doll. We'll see you. We'll see you at the gathering in August.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
God bless. Take care, hon.
You bet. Thank you.
Bye now. See you, everybody. Bye, Ryder.
Bye. Bye.
See you now. That was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you taking the time. We're just coming on at 54 minutes now. That was the first debut show of the Joey Nuggs podcast. I am ecstatic that I had Baby Doll, the perfect 10, on here with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to stream at least once a week and bring you some great content. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, subscribe. Hit that like button down below. Hit that notification bell as well, and it'll give you all updates on any future episodes. This has been Joey Nuggs video presentation, Joey Nuggs podcast, and hey, I'm out of here. God bless you, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye now.